After focusing on 1v1s and getting back on the ball, refamiliarizing ourselves with some skill moves and building some of that confidence to take defenders on in space in week 1, we're going to progress at our U12 and U14 age groups to passing and movement to support in week 2. So before we can work on driving long balls and working on some of our diagonal direction of play, we're going to work on some more basic combinations and refamiliarizing ourselves with some of our passing basics. So the first round we'll start with the warm-up activity we'll have 4 cones in a square. We'll have about 5 players per square, give or take, just depending on our actual numbers. So the ball is going to start, in this case, at a cone with 2 players on it. And this first warm-up is going to be very simple. We'll go to the right. Player number 5 is going to pass to player number 11 on the outside of the cones, and player number 5 will follow his pass to the outside of the cone. What we want to see, we don't want to see player number 10 in this case, as the ball is going to continue to go around these cones. We don't want to see those players standing on the cone. So as the ball gets to the cone that is up next to pass, we want player number 10 to check off of the cone, just as we would check off of a defender. So player number 11 can take his touch around the cone and play the ball. We're aiming for a back foot and being very specific about using our hands to make our target area small and show that we want to receive on the back foot if we're player number 10. So we can receive around this cone and continue going around as everyone follows their passes. If we have enough players per grid, then we'll get 2 soccer balls live on opposite diagonals. So we can get 2 soccer balls going around each side of the cone. After about a 2-minute warm-up, when players have the hang of it, we'll have a competition going to the right. So we'll restart the ball, and every time we get around the outside of the cone, we will get 1 point. However, any time that a player plays an inaccurate pass that goes inside of the cone, or a player isn't checked off far enough to receive the ball around the outside of the cone, we'll lose a point. So we'll keep track. We'll have each team count out their points in real time as they progress around cones. We'll lose a point anytime it goes inside. Key coaching points here are going to be using the inside of our foot through the midline of the ball with our plant foot pointed at our target, and making sure that the player receiving is on our toes. We're an active target, so we're using our hands to indicate that we want to receive the ball on the back foot, so we can play in 2 touches around the cone, maybe even 1 touch if we're really good at doing that. So that'll be the first round of competition. The second round of competition will be similar, but instead of just playing a ground pass 10 or 15 yards, we're going to play a 1-2. So we're going to try to play a wall pass 1-2 combination. In this case, player number 8 is going to start with the ball. Player number 8 will play number 5, who checks off the ball, and player number 8 will make a run about halfway down the line between the cones. Player number 5's first touch is going to go back to number 8, and player number 5 is going to call out 1-2. So as they call out 1-2, they're making a run around the orange cone to the defender, and player number 8 is passing the ball to number 5. Player number 8 replaces number 5. Now number 5 is facing up at 11. Player number 11 is checking off the ball. Player number 11 is calling for the ball, calling 1-2. So the ball goes up from 5 to 11. 11 makes the run around the defender, around the cone. 5 replaces. And we are just going to continue playing these 1-2s around until we can progress a little bit further. So the first competition round of this, we are going to award a point every time we play a 1-2 that goes diagonally. Again, in this case, it's going to go inside of the grid on the diagonal pass here and finds the front foot. We're going to reward speed and accuracy so we can get this ball moving quickly. We'll get a point every time we go around the cones in a timed competition and see which group wins. All right, the next progression in our passing squares involves the addition of 2 additional cones. So these are represented by these blue cones in this square. It might look different depending on our different numbers. We could have 3 cones, 4 cones, but we're going to have at least 2. So we can introduce a new kind of pass in this activity as well. So orange to orange in this case, as we go around the cones, is just going to be the same as it was in our first iteration. We're just going to pass around the cones. So in this case, player number 9, it's actually facing the wrong way, we'll play the ball to player number 8, and player number 9 will follow to where 8 is. Now what's going to change? Instead of player number 8 playing to the next orange cone, where number 5 is, player number 8 is going to play what we call a bounce or a pivot pass. So number 8 is going to play to 3. 3 is then going to play the ball back to 8 and backpedal into space So number 3's body is opened up to number 5. So we're backpedaling, and we call for the ball back. The ball is going to go from 3 to 5. So we'll connect that on the angle. We're bouncing and checking off of a defender. Player number 8 simply goes to the blue cone and follows the pass. Player number 3 follows their pass to the orange cone. Player number 5 received around the orange cone and plays that ball to player number 11 around the orange cone like normal. So again, if player number 4 starts in front of the defender, or the blue cone in this case, we're going to bounce, so 11 will play 4. 4 will play 11. Bounce and open up. 11 plays 4. 4 receives across their body, open, and plays out to 10. 4 goes to this cone. 11 goes to this cone. 5 goes to this cone. So players will get the hang of this after a warm-up round, and we'll have a little bit of a competition if we have time for a third progression, and it depends on how well the first 2-3 progressions go. I want to make sure those are good first, but if teams are doing well on this, we'll introduce a 4th progression to this, working on long diagonal passes. If we don't get to that this week, don't worry, we're going to work on it in week 3. It will be the focus in week 3, but I'd like to introduce this if we can. So in this case, player number 3 will play the ball to player number 9. Player number 9 will play the ball back to number 3 to start. And player number 3 is going to play a long diagonal, so they're going to skip the cone they were in front of, and they're going to pass to the next cone. Player number 3 goes to this cone. Player number 4 is going to receive on the long diagonal. They play the ball back to player number 9. Player number 9 is going to play out, long diagonal, to player number 8. Player number 9 replaces 4. 4 runs halfway down the line. 8 plays 4. And again, instead of 4 playing 8 back, 4 is going to play up to 5 on the long diagonal. 4 replaces 8. 8 comes halfway down the line. 5 plays back to 8. 8 plays the long diagonal to 3. And we continue just skipping the cone and working on some of our long diagonal passes where we might have to drive the ball a little bit more or flight the ball depending on our distance. It will probably be a little bit more driven this week and flighted in future weeks. So I'd like to spend some time on our next game if possible. Setup might look complicated. It's really not. So there's 6 total goals on this field. Right now there's an orange set of cone goals right here. On the north end, there's a yellow cone and an orange cone goal here. So there's 3 different goals on the north end of the field. And same thing on the south. You have an orange cone gate, yellow cone gate, and a blue cone gate. The colors don't really matter. What matters is there's just 3 gates on each end of the field. So the setup here, we have 3 yellow players on the field. We have 3 orange players on the field. We also have 4 neutrals on the field. So we'll have a neutral in between each, on the north and south end, in between each central gate in the center channel. And then we'll have a neutral on the sidelines as well. That'll represent a 7 and 11 in this case. So we'll always have a shape with width. And the players in the middle will be representing a 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 players who would have more centrality in our team shape, and understanding how we always move between channels and move between half spaces for some of our U14s and U19s. We'll talk through that a little bit as well. So the objective of the game, it might be a 3 versus 3, it might be a 4 versus 4 on the field. It just depends on our numbers. Obviously U14s and U19s will probably have more numbers than U12s. And that's fine. So in this case, we'll model a 3 versus 3 on the field. So the 3 in possession of the ball, or yellow in this case, they're working with the neutrals. So the neutrals support whatever team has possession. If we manage to find a neutral in the center gate, the neutrals are going to stand there. We get 1 point every single time we find a neutral. So that would be like playing up to a 9 in this case, if we're attacking, or back to a goalkeeper, 4 or 5 to recycle possession. But we're going to try to find our neutrals to get a point. From there, I'm looking for our neutrals to lay off and play a ball back immediately to a player in this case who's able to receive the ball back on the other side of the gate. So in this case, we have 1 point so far in the possession. Orange are recovering to help, but we might have a neutral player making a run up the line. So the 2 might play the neutral plays the 2 back, and if we are able to dribble or pass first time through a wide gate, we get an additional 2 points. So in this case, Team Yellow got 3 points from the possession. They found their neutral laid the ball off. They found another neutral out wide. That neutral played a 1-2 that we worked on, and we were able to dribble out through the gate. So possession will just reset on the neutral in this case, and then we'd be playing orange. So as orange receives the ball, orange is looking to navigate with our neutrals as well. We'll introduce this without a touch limit, but the idea is, especially as players get more comfortable, we'll introduce a touch limit as this progresses. So we'll go to probably 3 touches at first, then 2, and get players thinking about their movement off the ball. So we can keep a shape where we have supportive passing angles. We can work on bounces, 1-2s, diagonals, but we can play a neutral and understand that neutral can lay the ball off, and we can be running off that ball then to progress the ball in the channels. So it should be a good game to get players understanding movement between the channels and how we use our width, height, and depth to our advantage to always have space to attack. I won't necessarily do a clipboard tactical review every week, but I think this is a helpful week to demonstrate a little bit of what we're looking for in our shape at the 11v11 level. So this is applicable for both our U14s and U19 age levels, but just to review our shape again, we're gonna model off a 4-3-3, an attacking 4-3-3. So in this case, we have a 3 as a left back, a 5 as a left center back, a 4 as a right center back, a 2 as a right back. We have a single pivot, a center defensive mid as a 6. Pretend this 8 is a second 10. We'll have 2 10s, so 2 center attacking mids. We'll have a left wing as an 11, a center forward as a 9, and a right wing as a 7. Again, you may or may not play this this formation, but the concepts will be similar for what we're going for regardless. So what we're going to do in this shape is first demonstrate where we might create a wall pass. Disregard the number I'm throwing down. It doesn't have to be positionally accurate. It just can represent a jersey number in this case. So if a 3 is being pressured, a left back in this case, I still want our 3 to be able to advance. We have to think about when we take our 1v1s though. So there's more risk, obviously, if we're taking a 1v1 in zone 2 or 5, zone 1, that's where we could potentially lose possession and we could concede a goal. So we might want to win a 1v1 scenario by creating a 2v1 actually here. So a wall pass that we might create is our 6 is always diagonally available. That's going to be one of their principles of play from that position. Our 6 might look to receive this ball around the 10, and our 3 might look to progress, our left back, with a 1-2, calling for a 1-2. That gets our numbers going forward, and everyone balances out the sides, right? So that might be one way to get numbers forward by creating a wall pass and advancing one of our 2s or 3s out of that. Again, you can find these all over the field. I do want us to take 1v1s as we're progressing in the channels. So if my 11 receives a ball, a left wing, they've dropped in to receive. I do want them, as they're getting into the middle third and then progressing toward the attacking third, comfortable taking a 1v1, but maybe that becomes a 1v2. And they have to think about, again, how we are going to play around a defender on a 1-2 to receive the ball back. So pretty basic concept on our 1-2s. We just want to be aware of risk calculation on the field of when we engage defenders versus when we look to solve with numbers to pass around defenders. The main principle play I want to look for, though, is how we can maybe anchor in our team shape or occupy an opponent's defensive shape to create advantages in space. So for anyone who's been coaching for a while, this coaching point won't be too unfamiliar for us, but most teams like to try to get compact or small in their defensive shape once they're out of possession. So if a 9 is playing central, chances are they're occupying at least 1 center back, if not 2. That means that for the opponent, there's going to be space available if they're playing a back 4 between the center backs and the outside backs. So how can we use that to our advantage with what we've been working on this week? If we can, for instance, play up to a 9, maybe our 8 plays up to or 10 plays up to our 9 rather in this system. Instead of our 9 turning, which they're always going to be tempted to do, we want to scan before we receive and understand that we're occupying center back. So there's going to be space between the center back and outside back. So the combination we might look for here is for our 9 to always be operating between the half spaces and occupying these center backs, dragging these center backs with them. Maybe my 9 is in the left half space, receives the ball. 10's making a run. My 9 lays the ball off after receiving from one 10 to play the other 10. So we complete a triangle here. The 10 is now in a point of decision where they're deciding, are they going to drive into space and engage a defender? Or are they going to play this diagonal ball to a 7 who can maybe run across the face of a defender? Or again, if there's a gap on the outside, we play around the defender this way, but there will be space between the center backs and outside backs here. And maybe in this case, my 7 is attacking the end line. That's bringing my 9 near post. That's bringing my 11 far post. That's bringing my other 10 into the box. That's bringing another 10 into the box. That's bringing a 6 to the top of the box. And we are stepping our numbers up to pinch and get our team shape just a little bit more connected in the attacking end. So that's one case where instead of our 9 turning and losing possession, my 9 is anchoring defenders, lays the ball off. We play a diagonal into space in the wide channel, and now we can potentially score through the easiest possible goal combination, which is just playing a one-time or a pass square in to a 9, a 10, someone in the box who takes a one-time shot. That's how most goals are scored in zone 18 off a one-time finish. So a good example again of where a layoff can create space to then exploit that space in the channels between a 7 and 11 and create an opportunity to attack the end line or cross the ball into numbers in the box.